need to change game audio. There we go. Alright. Time to dip back into it. So, from last we left off, we had quite a bit of a thing. Oh, let's see. Is my PNG tuber working? Okay, it is working now. I guess because I minimized it. So it wasn't taking cues. There we go. So, last we left off, we have a bit of a conundrum with, our lovely main character be thinking that she did the right thing and end up in a coffin instead, being buried alive. Always, fun, that one. Okay, and this time we're going to the sea as a new path. Hopefully, I've made sure to change my audio, make sure the game audio can be listened, and here we go. Hopefully we can all hear what's going on. To resume from last time, let's see. Our protagonist woke up from a nightmare in a rickety shack by the sea. And yeah, we'll see whether or not she sees the light of dawn. So now, what are you to do? Will you go back to sleep? That sounds like the best option available to you. You are very tired, but your senses feel too overwrought all of a sudden for sleep. You do not think you could bear it. On unsteady legs, you rise to your feet, then stand by the window. There's OBS. I just want to see chat. Thank you. You look out to the starry sky and to the pitted moon which hangs amongst them, and you frown. You can hear the window outdoors howling like an injured animal, and more softly the ebbs and flows of the wave as they meet the cliff. But that is not all. What is that sound? Why, it is almost like singing. The voice is far away enough that you cannot pick out any individual words, nor even the individual syllables, but there is a haunting quality to it all. The singer, whoever they are, possesses quite a pretty voice, high and clear like a bell. The song is a melancholy one which stirs your heart. Curiosity takes root inside you, as it did during that fateful day you found that book in the library. Logically, you know you should not go outdoor to seek the source of that singing. But emotionally, that is another matter altogether. You really should have learned your lesson by now. You should know better than to go sticking your nose into business which does not concern you. But naughty little girls such as you never do learn. You cross the old fisherman cottage as though in a dream, then reach for the handle of the door. The handle depresses easily enough beneath your grasping fingers, and the door opens with a click. The rest of the world yawns before you, framed in the doorway, all of it bathed in moonlight. You thought it was cold inside the old cottage, but it is colder still now that the doorway is open. An unpleasant wind rushes forth to meet you, knifing mercilessly through the fabric of your uniform. You look across the cold, inhospitable landscape. Your fingers clench into fists at your side. Then you step out into the unknown. You canvass the cliff face, led by nothing more than that luxurious singing. So haunting and ethereal is this voice, as it hangs on the breeze, it would be enough to send 1,000 ships off to war. You keep walking into the night until you reach the very edge of the cliff, where they drop downward into empty air. You ought not to go any further, but the voice had yet to cease. You can still hear it, echoing inside your head. It compels you to act. You look down at the shore, which seems like dizzying distance away, then out to the ocean, which is breaking against the scattered rocks below. Your eyes narrow with determination. Then you take a step towards the cliff. These cliffs are steep, and the rocks below them are sharp. You can see them glinting in the darkness, their tips jagged like the teeth of hungry predators. The cold wind blows, rocking your hair, and you shudder from it. Your shoes were not built for scaling cliffs, and your heels do not have much in the way of purchase, particularly not when the cliffs are so steep. Clinging to the cliff is no small feat, yet you are determined to ease yourself down onto the shore, in one piece, preferably. The wind is so powerful, it feels as though there is something deliberately malicious to it. You wonder, until you descend, if it means to knock you off your perch on purpose, to cast you down to the rocks below. Well, if that is what it wants, then you refuse to give it the satisfaction. You can be awfully stubborn at times, and now is one of them. You continue to climb. How long have you been at it now? Until, at long last, your feet meet the shoreline below. You have made it, and you did not sustain too many injuries. Your palms are throbbing, yes, after gripping those rocks, and you might have a few cuts, but your wounds are of a shallow and superficial sort. Things could have been worse. You flex your fingers. They feel uncomfortably numb and cold alongside it. Your skin is prickling, but at least you can still feel discomfort. At least it is still attached to your bones where it ought to be, your vital organs concealed within the hollow cavity of your body. And I hope the protagonists have a lot to be thankful for later too. But well, that remains to be seen. This night has, by and large, been quite successful. There are no longer any obstacle between you and the mysterious voice which lulled you outdoor. Now you must find him. You set off down the shore on the hunt of the singing voice which has captivated you so. You sidestep sharp, jagged rocks which jut out of the sand like teeth. The rocks which cannot be circumnavigated. Meanwhile, you climb over. All the while, the sound of sea mingle with that of the singing. It provides an ethereal, haunting backdrop to your exploration, one which further adds to the surreality of your moonlight stroll. The waves lap against the shore, then recede shyly, pushed and pulled by the bleached white moon which hangs overhead. The ocean that you have seen in your library books were all blue as sapphire, but this ocean is different. It is so late at night, it looks black instead. The undulating surface of the water reminds you of a mirror, though its depths are even deeper and much more mysterious. 1 second. It seems the pressure valve decided to act up today, so gotta do something about it. Anyway, back to it. A sense of foreboding settles upon you, but you try to squash it. You will not let yourself be afraid. Part of your world. You round a corner, your feet unsteady in their sensible brown shoes, and then, at long last, you see her. There is a woman sitting upon a rock, out in the ocean. The woman's eyes are close, and her lips are parted, her expression soulful. She is singing. Her hair, which is fair, flutters around her face like a shroud, which adds to her otherworldly aura. Her eyes might be closed, but her lashes are long and luxuriant like a doll's. Her lips, meanwhile, which are parted in song, are soft like the freshly plucked petals of a flower. Her face is perfect, as are her proportions. Her neck is tall and slender, like the stem of a flower. As for the lower half of her body, meanwhile, well, is nothing like anything you ever seen before. You can say she's quite fishy. It is here, and here alone, that the woman betrays your narrow human definition of beauty, for her legs are non-existent. Rather than two awkward appendages, this woman has instead the sleek shimmering tail of a fish. Is she not then a human? She cannot be, not with a tail like that. This unusual sight made you gasp, and quite audibly at that. You do not mean to be rude, but you cannot help yourself. Human tends to react poorly to things they do not understand. At least you do not scream. That would be even ruder. Oh my. You meant to observe the mermaid from a distance, but it would appear that your shocking gasp was loud enough to attract her attention. The fish-tailed vision sitting upon the rock is looking at you. Her gaze is so piercing, it feels almost as if she's looking for you. Your heart seems to stop inside your chest, as if by some manner of magical spell. You thought the mermaid pretty when you first observed her, sitting on that outcrop of rock, her face turned in profile. Now she's looking at you, however. You can see that you were mistaken. She's not just pretty. She's beautiful. So much so, it is almost unnerving. She looks as though she has stepped out the pages of a picture book. She's simply too perfect to belong to this world. Perhaps she's some kind of vision, a waking dream, a hallucination. But no, she's none of those things. Her tail may be an impossible thing, but its scale looks slick and wet regardless, like those of any fish one might find in the market. Fish are different though, depends on the type and the species and all that. And whether they're like, you know what, I'm thinking too much about it. The scales are iridescent and, bathed beneath the light of the moon, they seem almost to glow. The sight of her rather takes your breath away. You look at the mermaid. She looks back at you. You prepare yourself, expecting some sort of altercation. But the surprise soon faded from this mermaid's face. Her lips, which once were pursed in a frown, now shift upward. She is smiling. Then she says, in a refined sort of voice, My, it really is good to see a human again, particularly a human girl. I was beginning to fear that your kindness had all disappeared, and I would no longer have anybody left to tell me of the world above the water. My, this is quite effusive greetings. The mermaid's introductory speech is positively brimming with excitement of a sweet, girlish variety. She is rather more amicable than the fine polish of her syllable would make one suggest. You might be a well-bred lady yourself, with an accent to match, but you cannot help but feel overwhelmed. Hydration. Anxiously, you observe the mermaid, and you ask her what she means. What happens? As to that, I'm afraid I cannot say. I have been sitting on this rock and singing for many, many nights, but nobody has come to see me. There have been no lovely humans for me to play with. I was beginning to wonder whether your kind has disappeared altogether. I fear some manner of calamity has occurred while I was slumbering beneath the water surface, and your kind had been eradicated. You shudder, then reassure the mermaid to the contrary. You do not know about the human that she used to speak with, but you, at least, have not been eradicated. You are still here.
Yes, well, I can see that.
The mermaid answered with a light laugh.
It really is a relief. My fellow merpeople who live beneath the water told me not to worry so, but I could not help myself. I have always been fond of you humans. It was rather sobering sitting here nights after night all on my own. It gets so lonely here.
Why do they always have the same sentence here? Totally not like the title of the visual novel. Yes. Now, that is an interesting turn of phrase. It catches inside your head like a burr. Have you heard it before? You absolutely have.
So, dear human, do you say that you are unfamiliar with these parts?
Hesitantly, you examine the mermaid. Doubtless, though you might be at times, you are not so very self-centered that you cannot detect the note of longing in the mermaid's voice. It is evident as she looks at you that she is hoping for a particular answer to her query. This answer, alas, is not one that you can furnish her with. You do not want to lie to her. It is after some hesitation, therefore, that you reaffirm your earlier words, though this time you embellish them. You tell the mermaid that you are a traveler from a far-off land, one which is very dissimilar to this one. It is not a complete fabrication. You can tell her that you have only just arrived by the shore, and you are unfamiliar both with your immediate surrounding and those further afield. If there is a village nearby, then you have never set foot in it. You do not know what this village is like, nor how many inhabitants it boasts. You do not know if a calamity, as the mermaid correctly supposed, has struck this land. But if you fear all humans within the immediate vicinity have been laid low by some mysterious malady, then she needn't worry overly on that score. You are still alive. Are you not, you wonder, enough to satiate her curiosity with the human realm?
Yes, that is true. You are here. I am grateful naturally for your company,
Although? Wistfully the mermaid sighed.
I was rather hoping you might be able to bring me some news of the nearby village and of its inhabitant.
This makes you wonder. Was there a particular person from this village she was close to?
So, you were able to work that much out?
The mermaid answered with a small smile.
You are an intelligent one, aren't you?
Your past professors would beg to differ on that score. You were always awful when it comes to academics, mathematics in particular. You could never get your head around all the numbers. Your stern, stony-faced math professor used to despair in you, but she is not here. None of them are here. It is just you now, and the mermaid, and she does not need to know about your dismal academic record. I'm going to take a little pause to use the bathroom, but I will be back shortly.
Alright, that took a little bit long, but I have returned.
taste buds is starting to come back. Oh well.
It is just you now, and a mermaid, and she does not need to know about your dismal academic record. Also, Chad, I hope you're hydrating, and taking bathroom breaks and all that jazz. And if you're rewatching, sorry for the long pause. Let's skip ahead just a little bit, and yeah, let's continue the story. You allow yourself a small smile, touched by her compliment, and tell her that it was nothing more than a lucky guess. For a guess, it was remarkably accurate. You're quite right. I did have a close friend from the nearby village. She was very dear to me.
Internally, you congratulate yourself on this piece of detective work. How very clever you are.
There are many humans in this world. Of that I know. The human who spoke with me, however, was special. She was my human.
You do not fail to catch the possessive note in the mermaid's voice.
And I cherish her dearly. She would come to me on my rock late at night when she was finished with her chores, and we would talk. I asked her a good number of questions about the human realm and about her custom. I fear that endless inquiries must have been rather tedious, but she was always happy to indulge me. She never once scorned me for my ignorance, and neither did she make me feel like a fool. She always made time for me, no matter how many demands she had on her time. She was a farmer's daughter, and she was awfully busy from dawn until dusk, threshing hay and taking the animals out to pasture. She told me of her work, and I marveled at her. Slender though she was, she possesses a truly tremendous amount of strength.
I'm sure you can also make a very good hangout time with Gravedigger Girl. I'm pretty sure that.
I, who have lived in the ocean all of my life, cannot countenance working as hard as she did, but she bore her burdens without complaining. She was not the prettiest human who has walked the earth, but that mattered not to me. Her conversation was engaging, and I knew, through our continued encounters, that she meant no ill will. She did not have even a single drop of malice in her heart.
The wistful manner in which the mermaid speaks of her friend makes you feel, for a brief moment, a flicker of some ugly primordial emotion. Could it be jealousy? It is painful, isn't it, to hear others wax poetic about those they hold dear, particularly when you yourself have never been regarded in so intimate a manner. You have, for many, many years, been woefully alone. But you are not alone now. You're with the mermaid, and she is with you. And though she might prefer to be in the company of an industrious farmhand, the farmhand is not here. Yeah, she's probably dead. Where did she go?
Oh, if only I knew. She quite simply disappeared one day, almost as if she had been whisked away by a wicked spirit.
That seems like quite the anticlimactic ending for such a close relationship. Did the farmhand not tell her companion beforehand that she might one day disappear?
No, she did not. Nothing of the sort happened. It was all very sudden.
So, you asked, feeling affronted upon the mermaid's behalf, did she not give you any warnings?
Not a single one.
And when you asked, did she disappear?
I do not know, in truth. Time is a strange concept to beings. such of myself, particularly as it seems to ebb and flow differently both above and below the surface. You humans have a strange compulsion to pin down and to place labels upon everything. You have names for your seasons, and for your months, and even for your days of the week. It is all very precise. We merfolk, however, do not bother with such affairs, perhaps because we live for so much longer than you humans do. We have no need to obsessively document our days, not when we have so many of them at our disposal. This curious remark catches your attention. How long exactly do mermaids live for? The mermaid does not look much older than you do, but you cannot help but wonder. My, nosy, aren't we? The mermaid asks, and she laughs, a soft tinkling sound like that of a bell, which make you blush. Were you being nosy? Perhaps you were. You have always had a thirst for knowledge, not the dry, dusty academic variety, but of stories, people with strange persons. Literature was the only subject you were ever any good at. Again, it is hard for me to quantify, but to put it in terms a human like you can understand, I suppose we mermaids can live for centuries. Centuries? That is quite the surprise. But perhaps it shouldn't be. You have been subjected to any number of supplies tonight. What is one more to add to the pile? I have not been waiting quite that long, however, for my friend to return to me. I think it has been but a few seasons. Might not sound like much, but never before have I been so aware of the passage of time. I've experienced any number of months during my life, but I've never wanted anything quite as badly as I want to see her. I wish she would sit with me and she would talk to me just one more time. But perhaps I'm asking for an impossibility. I have been waiting for long enough now to presume that she would not be returning to me. I fear that something must have happened to her, or to her family, or perhaps to her whole village. Yeah, they're like dead. They're like dead, guys. You can hear the worry throbbing in the mermaid's voice, so potent that for a few moments you swear you can feel the depth of her sorrow within your own grasp. Her sadness over this human girl is a deep, dark thing, almost fathomless. You cannot let yourself indulge it for too long, otherwise you fear you might drown in it. Ruefully, you tell the mermaid once more that you cannot help her. You are only a traveler after all. What do you know of a single insignificant farmhand in a nearby village? Yes, I thought you might say that. It is quite unfortunate, but, oh well. I ought not to reflect upon all that I am missing. That would be churlish of me, and would not be fair to you either. You did not approach me, I'm sure, with the hope of hearing about all of my woes. I should be grateful instead for all it is that I do have. I still have my long, long life, which stretches before me like a golden cord. And of course, I have you now. Does she? Do I not? I ought to go soon before my absence is noticed. But will you not come and visit me again tomorrow night? I think I would like that. I have always enjoyed speaking to humans. You make me feel less alone. You cannot help but feel, as the mermaid observes you with those enchanting eyes of hers, that she does not truly wish to speak to you for your sake.
She wants to use you instead as a substitute for the farmhand that she has been missing so very ardently. The thought stings, though you really ought to be used to it. Still, to be held in lower esteem than a farmhand of all things, it makes your self-esteem sting. You try not to let the mermaid notice this, though. The woes of your past are not her fault, much as the woes of her past are not yours. It is silly, in any case, to be jealous of a girl who might very well be dead. That is what you tell yourself. It is the only way to prop up your bruised sense of self-worth. You would tell the mermaid after a pause, like to see her again. You would like that very much.
Oh, thank you. I have been feeling very gloomy for quite some time, but seeing you has invigorated me. Finally, it feels as though I can smile again.
Did she not smile, you wonder, after her friend disappeared?
I did not know. I did not have the heart. Without her, the world seemed very dull and drab. Your company has cheered me immensely. This is why I like humans so much. You are not callous and unfeeling like the merfolk who live beneath the water surface. You are much kinder than they are.
Oh, if only she knew. If the mermaid was aware, I wonder, of how petty you are and how jealous, would she still care for you? Well, that is neither here nor there. You agree to meet with the mermaid come sundown the following night, then make your slow, stumbling way back up the cliff, then to the cottage you have purloined as your own. Once indoor, you settle down upon your pallet, then you close your eyes. The sighing of the wind outside and the distant roiling of the waves against the rock do not disturb you. You feel, after your midnight encounter of a marish kind, quite at ease, perhaps prematurely so. What happened to the icy fear which prompted your frantic flight through the forest? Where has all that gone? Do you not think you're being a bit complacent? No? Oh well, you will. This narrator being a dick. Excuse me. Sorry, hydration noise. The following morning, when it arrives, is cloudy and overcast. It is not a particularly pleasant morning, but at least it's not raining. There is some small consolation. You rise from your straw pallet, stretching, then glance about the interior of the fisherman's cottage. It looked dilapidated last night, when much of it was obscured by the shadow, but looks even more so when subjected to the morning's light. The cottage interior has the distinct, disquieting appearance of having been abandoned in a hurry. There is broken pottery strewn upon the ground, and the singular wooden chair, which once must have stood by the singular wooden table, is lying on the floor. The doors of the cupboard, meanwhile, are ajar, the shelves within depressingly bare. A quick search revealed a handful of edibles, but there is precious little to be getting on with. If you wish to live here comfortably, you will have to look into foraging. You ate very little last night, and your stomach is empty. It was the malcontented rumbling of your stomach, in actual fact, which roused you from your slumber. But your body seems to be very far away indeed, much like the gray clouds which choke the sky. You're not thinking of your own physical discomfort. You're dwelling instead upon the event of the night prior. You cannot help but think of the mermaid. Did you truly meet an aquatic maiden last night during your nightly stroll when you could not sleep? It sounds unreal, especially now that the sun has risen and the shadow from the night prior have dispersed. You cannot quite believe it. It must have been a dream. But why then can you recall it so very clearly? You help yourself to the scant food and drink available to you, all the while thinking of your next course of action. Now, what are you to do? You plan, of course, to return to the shore come nightfall, so that you might once again see the mermaid. But the night will not arrive for quite some time. You need to find some means of keeping yourself occupied until then. The uninspiring interior of the cottage does not furnish you with any particular ideas, so you decide to go for a walk. 4th of July was a day away, but ago. But I guess people are just popping their spare fireworks. So do you pardon me if you happen to hear that? I hope my mic soundproof is more than enough to keep that from happening. Oh, and let me just increase the music volume just a little bit. Because last stream I realized that my own music volume was a bit high. There we go. The uninspiring interior of the cottage does not furnish you with any particular ideas, so you decide to go for a walk. Your soul still aches after your exertion last night, but if you go slowly, you ought to be alright. That is what you hope, at least. You do not want to spend much longer than you have to in the fisherman's cottage, no matter how cold it might be outdoors. It's almost as cold inside as it is out, and in any case, the cottage is far too small. You leave the cottage behind you and set off. You do not know where exactly you are going, but you suppose it does not matter overly much. You do not have any particular destination in mind. Your meandering leads you to the cliff, which are steep and sharp. The drop to the shore is a perilous one, so much so that you have to wonder at how you were able to descend the cliff the night prior to meet the mermaid. Willpower. It's power of willpower. You're rather more determined than you ever realized. Though I, of course, could have told you that much. You are surprisingly capricious for such a small, slender human. Walk along the side of the cliff, keeping a sensible distance away from the drop to the shore. You might have survived last night's excitement unscathed, but you do not fancy trying your luck. It would be so like you, really, to avoid a drop to your death in the darkness, only to stumble during the morning's light and take an irreversible tumble. Your fortunes have never been the fairest. Your meandering along the cliff revealed to you all manner of curious flora. You thought the night prior that the cliff were weather blasted, but you can see now that your assumptions were incorrect. There are flowers here, very warm and bright, like the sunlights during summertime. Or you think with a flush of pleasure, the fair hair of the mermaid, whom you are certain you spoke to last night. These flowers are so very like her hair, it is uncanny. You step towards the flowers, drawn toward them, and sink down to your knees. The tall grass brushes your ankle like a caress, the morning's dew wetting your skirt. Your clothes are getting damp, as are your legs, but you care not for this minor discomfort. You have just had an idea. Why not make a gift for your new friend? You are sure that she would appreciate it. Why would she not? She told you in a voice which was steep with dolor that she had been feeling lonely. You want to see her again. And when you next see her, you would like to make her smile. It is with this thought in mind that you begin to pick the flowers which are growing upon the cliffside. These flowers do not have any thorns, and their delicate stems snap easily enough between your fingers. You take care when plucking these flowers to leave a substantial amount of stem intact. You will need this stem so that you might twine the flowers together. You mean to make for your mermaid a diadem, something she will be able to wear in her hair. This tiara is certain to suit her. She is so pretty, anything will suit her. You continue to work, slow and steadfast, as the weak sun shines. It takes time, but you are eventually able to fashion something you are satisfied with. You only hope the mermaid will feel similarly, if indeed she really does exist. Carefully, you pocket your makeshift item, then decide to forage for some food. You discover during your search some fruit trees whose sweet burnings are enough to fortify your spirit. 1 second once more, just checking something. Alright, false alarm. It feels like things are just going off in this house. For the present, at least. It is fortunate, really, that you're so excited about your moonlight rendezvous with a mermaid. You are less focused upon the future and dwell more in the immediate present. You might have more of an appetite. The emptiness in your stomach assuage. You return to the cottage where you mean to wait for the setting of the sun. There is very little to do, you soon discover, in the cottage other than checking the cupboard and sweeping the floor. Occupations which both feel depressingly pointless. There are no books to read either, with which you might pass your idle hours. You do, however, busy yourself with trying to light a fire so that you might ward off the cold. The time is horribly slow in passing, in part because you have precious little to do, but also because you cannot stop thinking of the mermaid. Will she really return to the shore she says she would? Can you truly trust her? Oh, you hope that you can. If she were not present at your designated meeting place, you think you would die from disappointment. Oh God. I think you'll die from something else, if not disappointment. I'm just saying. The seconds continue to trickle by, unchecked by any hourglass, and as they do, the sun sinks beneath the horizon. Part of you worries, however, that it might still be too early to search for the mermaid. Will she be there yet? You sit there, your stomach tied up in anxious knots, and as you listen to the wind which buffets your window, you hear it. The sound is faint, but you recall it well from the night before. There is a single, solitary voice outdoor, tempest-tossed amidst the roiling waves. The voice, the high, clear one, silvery, if indeed voice can have colors, like a finely polished dinner plate in a noble woman's home. The voice belongs, of course, to the mermaid. Who else do you know with a voice as angelic as that? Relief began to bubble up inside you, a relief so potent you feel dizzy from it. She did not abandon you after all. Why, you wonder, did you ever think she would? She said that she wanted to see you. Do you think that is a mere nicety? Boy. As if by a gentle breeze you hurry to the door. With trembling fingers, they are trembling, I presume, from excitement rather than fear, you seize the handle and turn it. Then you step out into the dark, inky night. Walk towards the cliff, as you did night one, the cover of the inky blue sky, wind moving fistfully with the air stepping. Your soul still aches for the explanation of that right, but you are able to ignore this discomfort. It seems irrelevant, really, when compared to the prospect of once again meeting the mermaid. You have known her for only one night, yet she has come to mean good thing that you still have enough sense about you to regain your footing. Otherwise, this tale will come to a premature ending. Eventually, you make your way to the shore, then approach the jagged outcrop of rocks where you last saw the mermaid. Like the night before, the mermaid's perched upon these rocks, her fair hair strewn about her shoulder. When she sees you across the shore, she ceases her singing and her eyes lit up. Or, at least, they seem to.
So, you have returned to me, my hero, the mermaid says, and then lightly she giggles. Or perhaps should I say, heroine?
Her praises make you blush. You do not feel worthy of it. Nobody has ever called you a heroine before. You do not even think of yourself as a heroine. If a story were made about you, you'd rather think that you would be a supporting character, one without her own voice. You're not interesting enough. The mermaid seems to think that you are, though. She is staring at you delightedly, as though you are one person in the world she's most wished to speak to. The thought makes you tremble, but not as much as the mermaid's gaze. You tell the mermaid that you do not think you are so very brave, but she dismisses your awkward remark with a laugh.
I think you are. I saw the way you scaled those cliffs. I thought that was very heroic.
Oh, so she saw that, did she? Then did she see how you slipped down the cliff, grazing your palm in the process, and how you very nearly fell? You have never been the most graceful of girls, but to have your failing exposed before being as poised and as perfect as the mermaid, it stings a little bit, more in fact, than the resultant graces on your palm is your clumsiness wrong. You tell the mermaid that there was nothing so very heroic about all that. You were simply excited, that is all, to see her again. You weren't thinking.
Well, that makes two of us. I was excited to see you again.
She was.
Naturally. I had a very good time speaking to you last night. I'd hoped that we might resume our correspondence. That is why I came to the rock a little bit earlier than usual. I was waiting for you. Do you hear my song?
Yes, you reply with a nod of your head. You heard it, all the way in the abandoned cottage. Echo out to you.
That was the general idea. I was singing for you.
She was. You do not think that you are worthy of the mermaid's song, but if she does not mind dedicating her voice to you, then
Well, what else would I dedicate my voice to? There's nobody else to hear me.
that is a good point, you suppose. Shyly, you look back at the mermaid. You thank her for her song. It was very beautiful. You tell her, before you can lose your nerve, that you have prepared a present for her too.
Oh, have you really?
You have. It is a small thing, nothing more than a silly trinket, but if it would not be too much of my imposition, then, with clumsy finger, you reach into your pocket. For a few moments, you fret that your near fall down the cliff might have damaged the delicate chain nestled within it, but your worries are in vain. The chain is surprisingly sturdy, given it was made with only a few flowers, and it has held firm against the odds. You handle the chain with great care all the same. However, as you hold it out, presenting it for the mermaid's approbation. It was for the mermaid that you fashioned this chain. You thought that it would look nice nestled in her hair. You were pleased with the chain when you first made it, but after looking at the mermaid, you have begun to reconsider. The mermaid's beauty is it's otherworldly, so much so it must hurt to look at her. Your flower crown, by comparison, seems a very meager offering indeed. The longer you hold your gift out, the more unworthy it feels. You have half a mind as a second elapsed to snatch your silly, wholly unworthy gift back from the mermaid before she can judge you too harshly. But the mermaid's lips curve upward into a smile, and in a voice so full of gratitude it makes your heart throb, she says,
Oh my, did you make this for me?
"Well, yes," you reply, still feeling feeling a little flustered. You saw this flower earlier when you went for a walk, and they made you think of her. Not, you hasten to add, that you think her beauty is comparable to these flowers. They are far inferior when contrasted with her good looks. You simply thought you were unable to get the rest of the sentence out, however, because the mermaid interrupts you, not rudely, but with something resembling compassion. Perhaps she pities you. She must be able to hear how your voice is trembling. Can she also see the way your hand trembles? Your hands tremble. Oh dear. Faint-hearted one that even though a fair maiden, you know. Well, really no maiden game, huh? What happened to all of your confidence?
I think that your gift is a wonderful one. I did not at all expect it, but it really is pretty.
You look at your feet, too shy to meet the mermaid's gaze. Then you say, very quietly, that you are glad she thinks so, but she does not need to spare your ego. Your precious little puppet left nevertheless. The mermaid seemed touched by your shyness. Perhaps she liked her prey to be self-conscious, because she smiled.
I am not simply saying things to spare your ego. I am not like that. You will like spout platitude as easily as they breathe air, but I do not compliment others unless I truly mean so. Is that not the point of speech? To have an honest dialogue with one another. If one party in a conversation is withholding their true intentions, then conversation is impossible. Playing games is a waste of my time, particularly given my time above the surface is so very limited.
Oh, you blush at this, more deeply still, and survey the mermaids beneath the full fringe of your eyelashes. Then she really does like it?
Dare not just say that? You humans are so very funny, but with all of your second guessing, she was like that too in the beginning.
She,
My friend.
the mermaid answer, is a simple one, but it makes your stomach clench regardless. Ah, yes, her friend. How could you have forgotten about her?
She used to make me gifts too, you know, gifts like this one. She would pick flowers on a cliff over there where I cannot tread.
The mermaid gestured with one hand to the cliff, which towers above the shore, tall and imposing as though to stab the sky above.
And she would fashion them into crown like this one, and bracelet. I was appreciative of her token, though she was similarly shy when she first presented them to me. She did not seem to think very much of her handiwork. You and her are remarkably similar, really.
There's no guile in the mermaid's voice, but her words have rather taken the wind out of your sails. Of course, the cowherd gave the mermaid's gift. Why was she not? The mermaid is beautiful. She's so very beautiful, like a tutelary goddess. She seemed to invite tribute similarly by existing. Were you more religious? Were you more religious? Or more irreligious? You might even consider worshiping her. No, in essence, is that not what you were doing in the flower crown? How silly of me to think that your idea was original.
I may be accustomed to gifts, but it has been a long time since any human has bequeathed me with anything. This is a pleasant surprise. I am truly thankful for your kindness, dear one.
The mermaid leans forward on her rod as to pluck the circlet from his finger. A benevolent smile all the while is unwavering.
And now that I look at your gift more closely, I rather think it is of a superior quality to the gift my old friend once gave me.
Now, this is enough to make you start if the touch of the mermaid's finger will start. Will your silly gift really be better than those she once accepted?
I think so. My friend's trinket were all rather clumsy in execution, though I cherish them nonetheless. They were very precious to me. They did not last for very long though, not when I took them with me to my by the same token, very delicate. You must be very good with your hands.
You think back briefly on your disastrous sewing lesson in the past, of your numerous failed attempts to thread your needle while the other girls giggle at you when you blush. You think the mermaid's praise might be a touch too effusive. You tell the mermaid as much, but she only laughs.
I do not think so now.
The mermaid placed your floor trinket upon her head over her long fair hair, then surveyed you in a manner which seems almost coquettish.
What do you think?
You think that the mermaid looks radiant, though that is less because of your gift and more because of her natural looks. You tell the mermaid, though not in terms quite this glowing, and she giggles.
You are selling yourself too short. I think your gifts is lovely, really. The flowers rather match my hair.
Yes, you answer with a nod of your head. That is why you picked these flowers. She's all you have been able to think of.
I am glad that you have been thinking of me. I, in truth, have been thinking of you, though I did not wish to say as much. No, it would be embarrassing to confess how much I have been looking forward to our reunion if you do not feel similarly. I do not care to pine for humans from afar, but if you care for me as I do you, then it makes me feel less alone.
You hasten to assure the mermaid, your face aflame. Do you ever stop blushing? Goodness gracious, that you do care for her. Very much so. You have not known her for very long, but she has certainly made an impression upon you. She is such an easy flirtation bliss. The time simply slid by when we were together. It does not hurt, of course, as she is so beautiful.
I have heard you say yes, that my looks are better together.
My old friends were similarly complimentary.
I cannot blame you humans for being so taken with me, when my form is so very graceful. Your legs seems rather cumbersome in comparison to my smooth, sleek tail. It must be so very depressing to lumber about the land as you do, living your days beneath the harsh sun and the cool, unfeeling moon. Sometimes I rather think I pity you. If the surface is a good deal brighter than it is beneath the ocean, I would rather have it.
You agree with the mermaid, still feeling flushed. There are some perks to having legs, an agreement which makes the mermaid giggles.
I am certain that there are, though you cannot explore the ocean's depth as I can. I presume you have never tried it.
You shake your head. You had never thought to do so, largely because you have never been so close to the sea before, not in all of your life. You do not have much opportunity for nautical exploration in your lives. You were not allowed to go anywhere near them, save to the local church. It was quite a lonely existence.
Well now, that is a pity. You were kind enough to give me a gift fashioned from flowers which grow where I cannot reach them. So perhaps I ought to return the favor.
The favor.
Yes, that is right. It would seem only fitting that I give to you something which cannot be found in the ocean's depth. Perhaps we could look at it as a form of cultural exchange.
Oh no, you protest, your eyes wide. You couldn't possibly put much of a burden upon her. You did not give her a gift after all because you wanted to receive anything in return. Anything other than her friendship, that is. Her conversation is more than enough to satisfy you. You do not need any physical present on top of that. The mermaid does not seem convinced, however, by your naysaying. She raises one eyebrow. Even this gesture is performed elegantly, and then say,
If my company is all it takes to satisfy you, then you are easy to please indeed. But please, do not rebuff me. I am offering because I wish to do this. Remember what I said. I do not say things for the sake of it.
well, you murmur, she really doesn't mind.
Of course I do not mind. Now wait here. I will not be very long.
It would be rude to abandon my new friend in the midst of a conversation. The mermaid turns her attention toward the clear mirror-like water, which shimmers beneath the moonlight. Then she dives. Her body arches elegantly through the air, her long slender limb cleaving through the surface of the water with nary a ripple.
The mermaid's face is first submerged, then her torso, and, at long last, her tail. The water rushes forth to envelop her, as though it has been waiting for her. It subsumes her. It swallows her. Then she disappears from view. The mermaid's gone, but you are still here. Well, now what are you to do? There's nothing that can be done, you suppose, save waiting. You stand there for several moments, watching the black water lap against the shore. The breeze howls mournfully like a wounded animal, as if buffet your hair about your face and your torn skirts around your legs. Time elapses. How much of it? While you stand there, fretfully, feeling as anxious as a maypole. When will the mermaid return? Will she ever return? You are starting to worry. Is that all you do? When, look, over there, by the rock upon which the mermaid once sat, the water is rippling. It looks as though your new friend has returned. The mermaid pulls herself onto the rocks, using a surprising amount of her upper body strength, then smiles at you. I apologize for the wait. I hope I did not make you worry. You were worrying, but you are not half so honest as the mermaid. Mermaids might be spoken of as a devious trickster who lures sailors to their death, but they are in actuality very sincere. They are much more sincere than most humans. Really say something, huh? Perhaps that is why your kind fears them so. There are few creatures who inhabit this world whose capacity for lying is greater than your own. You tell the mermaid that you were not worrying, and she answers with a wry smile. I'm not so sure about that. The mermaid is wilier than you're giving her credit for. She has to straight through you. But no matter. It took me some time, but I was finally able to retrieve for you a gift. I do not have the means to turn this into a pretty piece of jewelry, as you did with the flowers, but I wish to give it to you nonetheless. I do hope that you like it. The mermaid leans forward and holds her gifts out toward you, her slender finger unfurled about it, like the petal of a flower being flung back, and oh, what a pretty gift it is. The ocean might be dark and deep, cold and unfeeling, but the same cannot be said for the object which glittered upon the mermaid's palm. She had fished from the depth of the water a beautiful shell, one which shimmered prismatic color beneath the moonlight, much like the scales on her tail. The shell is so very pretty, it quite takes your breath away. You look at the shell worriedly, your teeth biting your lower lips. That is a bad habit, you know. You will make yourself bleed. Then ask the mermaid if this is really alright. Would a gift like this not be wasted upon you? Well, come in, friend. Enjoy the lurking and the vision novel time. I'm half reading and half sipping on my orange juice. And hoping that people are stopping from setting off fireworks outside. It's no longer July 4th. Please stop. Anyway, back to the story. Of course not. I want you to have the shell because it makes me think of you. It does. How so? I thought it should be obvious. The shell is a lovely find. As are you. I'm going to take a few moments for the sentence. I'm going to take a few moments on what she means by that. Just a few moments. It might be heartwarming to hear, but then knowing what the nature of this visual novel is, it's striking some red flags. Yeah. I hope everyone's having a great time. Oh. Did she just call you lovely? Oh, you completely missed the point, did you? Surely, you must have misheard her. You
can scarcely believe it. It is an awful lot for you to take in, but
Now, why are you gawping at me like that? The wind will change, you know, and then your face will be stuck like that, which would be quite a shame. You would waste your good looks, which, for a maiden such as yourself, would be nothing short of a tragedy.
it seems as though the mermaid really does think you are pretty after all. Mermaid with her smooth skin and her fair, fair hair. You can scarcely believe it. There's something almost laughable about the mermaid's compliment. How could she call you pretty when her looks are so immediately, so obviously superior? Tongue-tied, you look at your feet. You do not know how to reply to the mermaid. You have half a mind to refute her words, to tell her that you are not that pretty. Not really, but you fear that might look rude. You do not want to rebuff the mermaid's well wishes. There's nothing for it then, but to take the shell which the mermaid retrieved from the ocean's depth for you. You do not think that you are worthy of it, but neither do you want to refuse it. Now, that is a surprise, the mermaid said, amused as you reached for the shell. I did not think you would be bold enough to take it, not without more coaxing on my part. You have exceeded my expectation. What a good girl you are. Well, your heart flutters with this praise, and it flutters all the more when your trembling finger brushes against the mermaid's palm. She presses the shell into your skin, and your own fingers tighten around about it. The shell is sharp and pointed, and it digs uncomfortably into your skin. It hurts, but there is pleasure in the pain. Are you a masochist? This, too, feels like a gift from the mermaid. You're a masochist. You do not want to spurn it. Even pain can be a precious thing when dealt by one whom you care for. Iris said, you never knew that before. You hold the shell to your heart, which is beating an irregular rhythm, and look at the mermaid. Then, very softly, you thank her.
It is quite all right. It seems only fair after you share a part of your world with me. I wish to share a part of my world with you too.
Part of your world. We know this reference.
Welcome in, Kiba. Welcome in. Hope you're having a great time. We're seeing mermaid this time. Humans cannot normally descend beneath the ocean's depth, and even if they do, they cannot remain there for very long. You are far too fragile. Would that I could, I would bring you with me to my underwater kingdom, where we might be together.
The mermaid's melodic voice trails away, suffused with something resembling melancholia.
She sighs. Then she shakes her head and smiles. But this will have to do for the present. Please, take good care of that shell. Look at it from time to time, and think of me. That would make me very happy indeed.
The day passed, following this nightly encounter with your aquatic acquaintances, with an almost intolerable slowness. You endure the hours of sunlight as best you can by going for long, bracing walks amidst the heather, foraging for berries and fruits among the hedgerows. You even, when you have mustered up enough courage, take an old fishing line uncovered in the fisherman's cottage and try your luck by the shore. Your initial attempts at angling are without success, but as the time passes, your proficiency in the art grows. Some time after you take up your rod, you find you are able to catch the odd fish here and there. Small, scrawny things, mostly, but the meat goes away to bolstering your rudimentary diet. You teach yourself how to remove the scale of these saltwater fish that you have captured and how to cut them. You learn, too, how to cook them over a simple fire. Sometimes you skewer this fish of yours on spike and roast them slowly, innards and all. You are able to sustain yourself well enough during the day, though the faint pangs of hunger you experience never quite go away. Your physical discomfort, however, is secondary when compared to your desire to visit the mermaid. Your days might be dull and drab, but your nights comparably are made of magic. It is only during the night that the mermaid emerges from beneath the waves, and when she does, you hurry to her side. You have never before had anybody who took so great an interest in you, not until you met the mermaid. That is why she has grown to mean so very much to you. She is the first friend you ever had. But if you do not temper your obsession accordingly, I fear she may very well be your last. You care little for the potential danger, however, which lurks beneath your interaction with the mermaid. You want to only show the mermaid how much that you value her, and you hope within time that she will come to value you too. If you keep seeing her, surely she will stop thinking of her human friend whom she lost so suddenly. That is your plan, at least. Fortunately, your self-serving wish to grow closer to the mermaid seems close to being granted. Your nightly conversation, when you greet her, come easily enough, the words stumbling from your mouth like thread. You have grown rather comfortable in the mermaid's company, and she, yours. She must have, for it is not long after you bequeath your diadem of flowers to the mermaid as she looks at you, then poses a curious question.
I was wondering, dear one, whether you would mind indulging me. You know, this might not seem like an appealing proposition, but I thought it would be a remiss of me not to ask. I've seen some of your world, for I have sat on this shore for many, many nightheads, but you have seen nothing of mine. It seems unfair that I should know some of the world you inhabit, while you know so little of my own. So, would you care to come with me beneath the ocean's wave? There is much that I wish to show you, sight that cannot, I fear, be accurately represented in language alone. Words can be awfully stifling when it comes to the communication of experience such as this.
It is quite the florid spirit, but the heart of it beats simple enough for us. The mermaid wishes to bring you beneath the ocean surface so that she might show you her home. I don't know, girl, that's, there's something that humans kind of do need to do that mermaids doesn't always need to. It's called breathing oxygen, and that's kind of hard to get, in the water. And if you are lacking that in the water for so long, you might experience something called drowning. Yeah. You are flattered initially that a mermaid wishes to show you something so personal. Game audio too loud. Ooh, it's maximum. There we go. I lower it down. Yeah, it was on maximum. Sorry about that. You are flattered initially that the mermaid wishes to show you something so personal. But after this flutter of flattery, there comes an uncomfortable sense of unease. The mermaid might feel at home beneath the water surface, but what of you? You are a human girl with two awkward, ungainly legs, and you were not made to live under the sea. Under the sea, under the sea. You frown, and mistrustfully, you look at the ocean. It is late at night, as it always is when you speak to the mermaid, and the water does not look blue. It appears instead to be obsidian. The wave moans as it breaks against the rock, which jut out of the shore like a mighty dragon's bone. They sound angry, violent, almost. Salty sea sprays arc through the air, caught in the moonlight. It shimmers, sharp as knives. Hesitantly, you take a step back. You are a little afraid of the sea. It is so restless, so deep, and so all-consuming. It reminds you of a hungry monster. You have never submerged yourself beneath the ocean before. You never had the opportunity. You do not even know how to swim. You are fearful for your own safety should you consent to dive beneath the undulating meniscus of the water, but
Do not look so frightened, dear one. I will be with you, and I will not let you go. You have my word.
Shyly you glance at the mermaid. She still perched upon her rock, her hand folded neatly upon her. Well, she does not have a lap, not really. You're still afraid, but the mermaid reassurance does help. Has she not told you numerous times that she's nothing if not honest? You trust her not to break her word. She would not leave you beneath the wave, abandoning you to a cruel, lonely fate to become food of so many fish. Of that you are certain. That is why, despite all of your misgiving, you find yourself nodding your head. If that is what she wants, then you will accompany her. You are interested too in what lies beneath the ocean surface, out of sight.
Oh, I knew that you would agree. Thank you very much for humoring me. I will endeavor to make these next few moments the most memorable you have ever experienced. Now, would you care to come with me? I shall be your guide. The ocean's depth might be dark, but I will not let you get away from me, I promise.
She said the thing.
The mermaid extends
her hand toward you, a hand which seems to cut through the moonlight, just like a blade. The moon's celestial rays play against the mermaid's upturned palm so that it shimmers. The mermaid's hair, too, is glowing, backlit by Selene's glow, so that she almost looks like an angel. Her beauty is such that for a few moments you cannot do anything, neither step toward her nor back away. You feel frozen in place, rooted into the sand like some shore-growing tree. A palm tree? You still do not understand why the mermaid has taken such an interest in you, but an old adage does occur to you. You ought not to look a gift horse in the mouth, or ignore the pleas of a graceful, dignified mermaid. You reach out, your arms shaking like the skinny bough of an ancient tree, and find the mermaid's hand with your own. The mermaid's finger curl about your own, her nails, only now you notice how sharp they are digging into your skin. Though the mermaid herself looks very soft, her grip is surprisingly strong. You do not think if she willed it, you would be able to get away from her. But why would you want to? She does not mean you any harm.
Now, let us be on our way. There's much to see in my underwater kingdom. I cannot wait to show it to you.
I'll take a moment to drink this OJ. Folks, I'm afraid this might be it. The mermaid turned toward the ocean, as do you. A brief moment passes, one which you allow yourself to stand there, and your hand clamped by the mermaid's as the wind buffets your hair and your skirts. You inhale deeply. The smell of the salt is heavy in the back of your nostril, so much so you could choke on it. It is not a particularly pleasant smell, but you have grown accustomed to it after living in your tumble-down cottage by the shore. Yeah. She might be dangerous, but she's hot. It is nostalgic, almost. You have a vague feeling as you stand on the precipice between your world and that of your aquatic companions that you might never again be able to smell the salt in the air like this. Yeah, take that last sip of air, girlie. You might not get another. That is just a silly supposition, though. You are being foolish. The mermaid will return you back to the surface in due course, will she not? You hope that she will. You, unlike her, cannot breathe underwater. You open your mouth, meaning to ask the mermaid about this fact, but you are not afforded this opportunity to speak. The mermaid has already shifted, her fingers still twined about yours. She dived forward, her body slicing through the surface of the water like a knife, and you, inexorably, are dragged along with her. The water rushed forward to meet you in a sudden, shocking rush. The mermaid's descent might be graceful, but yours is anything but. You do not know how to position your legs, and your limbs feel awfully ungainly. The shock of the water as it touches your skin, meanwhile, is intense. You did not think that the water would be this cold. No, it is not just cold, it is freezing. It feels as though all the warmth has been sapped out of your skin. If your head was not already beneath the ocean's wave, you would gasp from it. You do not gasp, however, you cannot. You have already been submerged. Your body no longer feels as though it is your own. Your hair is unspooling behind you like a thread, and your skirt is fluttering. Your body rocks to and fro as though being soothed in a mother's arm. Up. There we go. It is a curious feeling, but it's not wholly unpleasant. If only it were not so cold down there, beneath the ocean's depth, you might find it relaxing. It is dark under the surface of the water, yes, but you have not ventured so very far, not yet at least, that the glow of the moon cannot penetrate its depth. Your surroundings are illuminated, though faintly, and thanks to this precious illumination, you can see the school of fish swimming about you. The scales glisten as they arc through the waves like rainbows. They do not look like life forms. They appear instead to your fairy tale adult mind to be ancient relics brought to life through some strange arcane sorcery. They are pretty. No, that word is not significant enough. They are beautiful. You did not know as you stood upon the shore how very full of life it was beneath the water's surface. You did not know either how very beautiful these aquatic denizens of the deep were. You have never seen fish like this before, not in real life. You have memories, vague, hazy memories, of dissecting a fish once in a particularly gruesome biology lesson. But that feels like a very long time ago now. You would far rather think on your present and dwell upon the past. But the seconds pass, and as they do, the mermaid continues to swim, leading you deeper and deeper into the ocean's depth. While you are close enough to the surface that the moonlight could still slice through the wave, it is so very dark you can scarcely see. Your vision is beginning to blur. You can feel an uncomfortable pressure weighing down on your inert body. Yeah, it's called water pressure, girl. You have descended, you realize, with a ripple of anxiety, too deep. Humans were not meant to descend into this depth. The water, once cold, now feels freezing. It caresses every inch of your exposed flesh, as if to sap what little warmth you might still possess. You shiver, and when you do, you swear that you can hear your teeth shattering, despite the water which stopped your ears. The water is stopping up your nostril. There's so much water down here at the bottom of the ocean. There's so much water in the ocean, guys. She's losing it. It is endless. The mermaid may be able to breathe underwater, but you are not so very fortunate. Your body is far less sophisticated than hers, and it requires oxygen with which to furnish your body with its continued strength, not salt water. The thought of trying to inhale the endless water to surround you makes you shudder. You would rather not attempt it. You do not have the gills. When will the mermaid take you back to the surface? Surely she must know that you have fast begun to near your limit. You have been under the water for too long, and it is too cold. It is so dark now, in any event, you cannot see much of anything. The joy you once felt during your underwater adventure has begun to dissipate, and just like the last of oxygen you still possess. Yep. She tried. Is it time to return to the surface now? But how are you to communicate this to the mermaid? You cannot speak, and she's not looking at you. She's staring instead, fixedly, at something beyond your comprehension, something far away perhaps, in the underwater gloom that you cannot see. Not knowing what else to do, you're trying to pull your arm free from the mermaid's grasp. You hope that this will signal to her that she has grown too carried away in her endeavors, that she ought to cut short your expedition and return you to the shore. The mermaid does not react, however, to your attempts to escape her. Her grip does not slacken as you have hoped from about your wrist. In fact, it is quite the opposite. It feels as though she's gripping you more tightly than she was, as if to prevent your escape. But why would she do that? You tap on the mermaid's shoulder to get her attention, a gesture which prompts her at long last to turn. Her fair hair billows about her, suspended in the water like a shroud. Then she say in that calm, measured, incredibly reasoned voice of hers,
Yes, dear one. What is it?
if you could, you would open your mouth to reply to her, but alas, you are a human girl, not a fish, and you cannot speak underwater. Any attempt to do so would accomplish naught save filling your pretty little mouth with water. The mermaid really ought to have considered that before she started to ask you questions. But your comfort seems to be the last thing on the mermaid's mind. She smiled you gently, delicately, and said,
I understand. Being underwater for so long must be beginning to take its toll. Do your lungs feel like iron? Are they heavy?
So she does understand your woes. You might not be able to speak, suspended as you are in the dark, murky deaf, but communication is not wholly impossible. You nod your head emphatically. You nod your head emphatically, hoping that this will be enough to make your distress apparent, but
Yes, that will happen. It is a natural part, or so I've heard, of drowning. Not that I've ever had the opportunity to experience it for myself. I am incapable, you see, of meeting my demise in such a manner.
now, what was that? I would ask the same. So you know that she's experiencing drowning. Okay. What could she mean?
I mean, the mermaid answered, can you read minds, that this was a calculated act upon my part. Forgive me, dear one, but the moment you consented to sinking beneath the water with me, your fate was sealed. Your lung will be flooded with water soon enough. Then you will die. It is not a pretty way to go. You needn't worry about your corpse bloating, disfiguring, or being eaten by fish, though. I will take very good care of it. I promise.
Guys, she's gonna take such a good care of the girlie's corpse.
In death, you will look lovely, almost angelic. Is that not what you always wanted?
You do not know what the mermaid think it is exactly that you want, but you think she's laboring under some severe misunderstanding. You would like to try and correct her. You do not want to die, but of course you cannot open your mouth. What a pity. Well, at least it saved me the effort of transcribing your dying pleas. Let me just save this real quick. I doubt they would be particularly interesting.
If you want to know why I am doing this, then I will not mind obliging. I have no secret to keep from you.
Other than the secrets, perhaps, that upon your first meeting she nursed within her cold fish heart the desire to bring about your watery murder. You might have liked to know that before you agreed to sink beneath the water surface with her.
I am only doing this because I have no choice. The other girl I like, after all, the one whom I adore, disappeared. She went away, and I was never again afforded the opportunity to see her. You remind me of that girl, though you do not look much alike. You do not act very alike either. But you are both humans who, despite your delicacies, have no shortage of determinations. How your kind is able to live when your lifespan is so very short and you are susceptible to so many diseases is a mystery to me. Though my lifespan far eclipses your own, and I am far sturdier, I cannot help but marvel at the tenacity of you humans. I know that if I were as fragile as you are, I would not be able to exist in this world. I would be far too afraid. I could see my own death lurking behind every corner.
just as you can see your own death looming before you. It is not so very far away now. You can feel it coming closer and closer, and closing its cold, icy finger around your throat.
You humans are incredible. I cannot help but respect you, weak and pitiful though you are.
She respects your tenacity so very much she wishes to extinguish it. I have to read that line, that's great. She respects your tenacity so very much she wishes to extinguish it. That does not make very much sense.
Perhaps my words are confusing you, but it makes perfect sense, to me at least. My beloved cowherd left me. I do not know where she went or what happened to her. Perhaps she was murdered by bandits. Perhaps she contracted a horrible disease. Perhaps she simply fell and cracked her skull. I do not know. I will never know. For many, many days and many, many nights, her disappearance tormented me. I could not help but wonder how it came about, but there were so many possibilities I could not imagine all of them. This thought terrified me. It still does. That is why I'm going to take you to my underwater kingdom with me. There, we can be together forever. Nothing will be able to tear us apart then. I will brush your hair, and I will dress you in the finest pearls found from the bottom of the seabed. It will be lovely, much, much lovelier than any sort of miserable existence you might be able to eke out above the water. In my citadel, you will never be attacked by bandits, nor ravaged by disease. You will be quite safe, I promise.
Quite safe, yes. And quite dead too, surely.
Well, yes. That's the only unfortunate aspect of my plan.
She considered your death nothing more than a mere misfortune. The mermaid might be surprisingly cold after all. But perhaps you ought to have predicted this. She is part fish. Are they cold-blooded? Are fish cold-blooded? Are fish cold-blooded? That is... Thought. Google. Are fish cold-blooded? Okay, most of them are cold-blooded. Okay, so yeah, that they are cold-blooded. Some are, some are not. Yeah. She is part fish. Are fish not cold-blooded like lizard? Okay, the game responded to me that. You probably learned this at some point during biology class, but your lessons are beginning to feel very faint and far away now. Your body is beginning to fail you. You cannot take much more of this.
It is a necessary sacrifice, though. If we are to be happy, I am doing this, you know, for both our sakes. I do apologize for tricking you, but please, try to understand.
Trying to understand she's gonna die.
I really have been lonely.
You would be more inclined to sympathize with her, perhaps, if her loneliness was not ushering your inevitable demise. But you are too preoccupied with your dwindling reserve of oxygen to feel much in the way of anything for your captor. You can feel the pressure of the water against your eyes. They're beginning to ache. Perhaps you are crying. You do not know. The water masks much of your anguish. You have been drifting underwater for almost 3 minutes. That is a remarkably long time to go without any air. Your vision is beginning to cloud. Your surrounding, already dark, look darker still, unpleasant and obscure, and not at all like the paradise the mermaid promised you. The pain of being suffocated slowly is far stronger and far more oppressive than the sensation of the mermaid's hand wound tightly about your arm. Is there no escape for you? The prognosis, I am sorry to say, is grim. Your fate, as the mermaids say, really was sealed the moment you met her, luxuriating on those rocks beneath the moonlight. But you'll forgive me if my sympathy is limited. You did bring this upon yourself, you know. You reap what you sow. In your case, you made a series of bad decisions which led to your untimely demise. Now, what do you want to do? Okay, now I can actually save. Will you accept this fate of yours and rest in peace? Or will you try to fight against it? Now, let's see what it would be if you accept your fate, because I did not accept the fate last time. So let's see. That is a bit of an anticlimactic answer at this juncture in your life story, but I suppose it will be remiss of me to lecture you too much. I am sure you're well aware of what a terrible series of decisions you have made. There's no need for me to belabor the point. That would be boorish, not to mention tedious. I'm rather tired of scolding you. So instead, I think I will content myself with loving you. What? You thought in your death the mermaid was the only one who will be able to cosset you? I know I have said this before, but you really are naive. You cannot escape me, even if you are at the bottom of the deepest, darkest ocean. The world might have forsaken you, but I never will. I would never leave you. Distinctly what a... You will never be lonely again. And we get to the credit. Yay! Alright. So let's load up the... So that was the path of the mermaid. Time to go for a third route. Or beginning it. Ah, I like that look on your face. It is a look full of determination. The self-same determination which first prompted me to take an interest in you. I can tell that you're not happy with this ending. You did not come all this way, after all, to drown. That's quite an indecorous demise, regardless of how many fine stone and shell the mermaid meant to twine through your hair after your death. If you wish to carve out a new story for yourself, then I would be only too happy to indulge you. Try not to get on the bad side, or good side of any homicidal naiad this time. The drowning of this fair maiden is something of a cliché. Your fate is once again in your hand. Now I wonder, which path will you take? There's only one, guys. There's only one. So, you want to go to the castle. Good idea. All decent fairy tales tend to conclude in castles once they beleaguered put upon heroine are able to wed the handsome princess they once dreamed of. Why bother trying your luck with a shore which may very well be deserted, or the village which will be full of dirty, barefoot peasants? It's far better to skip the suffering and go straight to the grand finale. That is very astute of you. I did not realize you had it in you to be so mercenary. I can only wonder what you will uncover during your moonlight meandering. The night is far from over, and your adventure only just beginning. I hope only that you have brushed up on your courtesy. That might come in handy when one is interacting with a sovereign. Royals can be temperamental, after all. If you fail to treat them with the prerequisite amount of respect, you might come to regret it. You follow the path which led to the castle, supporting yourself on weary, aching legs which feel ready at the moment's notice to detach from your hips. And now we're on third routes. I'm probably going to start a little bit of it, and then we're going to stop for the night. So we can do the third part, just like the third ending, just on their own. Like, yeah. You are a little more than a wisp of a girl, but you've been running for so very long, and your feet are so very numb. You feel like a great lumbering thing, clumsy and ungainly. The soles of your feet are screaming at you. You need to lie down and quickly. Your only hope as you continue to run that you will find a spare room available for you in the castle. You do not know what exactly will await you at the castle, but you have vision as you run of a vast, opulent dwelling. This dwelling will surely be full of finely furnished room in which you might rest your weary head. There must also be a king and a queen inside the castle, you ponder, who will be kind and wise. And what of your children? What of a princess? Every good castle must possess a princess who will take pity on you in your plight. You can imagine the face of this generous princess with ease, thanks to the fairy tale you read in abundance as a small child. The princess will be fair of hair and blue of eyes, with soft pink lips pursed like rosebuds. Her limb will be slender, her hands dainty and unsullied from physical labor, and her sensibility will be sweeter than marzipan. She'll be kind to you and compassionate, just like an older sister. You do not know what older sister are like, though, or younger sister, for that matter. You are only guessing. You are not a complete fool, however, despite your tendency to daydream, then you do have a few reservations. Monarchs do not, as you know from voracious reading, have the best track record when it comes to caring for the peasantry. Was there not a very famous queen who once said with a cavalier wave of her hand that a hungry peasant in her kingdom should content himself with cake if bread was not an option? You think that this might be a misquote, but the point still stands. Though royals are supposed to grant their subjects succors in their time of need, this does not always happen. In fact, it very rarely happens. Kings and queens and princes are just people at the end of the day, and they are subject to the same caprices that all humans are. They can also be careless and selfish and inconsiderate. There's no guarantee that this mythical princess of your imagination will help you. Why, there's no guarantee that this mythical princess exists at all. Still, you must try. It is this hope which keeps you going. You continue to run to the castle. It takes some time before you finally emerge from the woods, but finally you do it. How much time, you ask? I cannot answer that. Did I not say that time has begun to lose all its meaning? The forest is behind you now, at least, and all the awful nightmares which dwelt within it. It is still cold, though, and foggy and very, very dark. The sun has yet to rise. You can see the moon more clearly now, though, as it hangs above your head, round as any pearl or orb or crystal ball. The moonlight shines down upon the castle, which looms in front of you like a cliffside. The stone edifice of the building is imposing, and it drowns you in shadow, darker than the depth of the deepest ocean. It's so... I wish they would stop doing that, but yeah. Depth of the deepest ocean. The castle is not all dark, though. Not like the night sky above it. When you crane your head, you can see that there are lights flickering within, in the narrow slitted window. It would appear that somebody is home. The king and the queen, perhaps? What of their servants? What, perhaps more pressingly, of their guards? You half expect, as you stand there, the armored knight would accost you for daring to approach the castle of king and queen so-and-so. Do you not know your place, foolish peasant girl with the dirty skirts? Begone with you! You are not, of course, a peasant. Your family is a wealthy one, or rather they were, before your father made a series of poor financial decisions. You do not look like a young lady right now, though, with your dirty face and your dirty skirt, which is torn as a hem. If any guard were to take you for a vagrant, it would not be surprising. But Though you stand there dithering, your filthy fingers hooked in front of your filthy skirts, you do not hear any cries. Nobody sounds the alarms. Light might be on the inside of the castle, but there is nobody outside of its perimeter standing sentry. There is nobody to impede your entry, and the elaborate iron gates, which are set into the vast stone walls about the castle exteriors, are open. Just a crack. It will be a trivial matter to slip inside. There is nobody to stop you. Why are you trembling now, you silly thing? You have come so very far, it would be an act of foolishness to turn around now. Go on, go. You inhale, perhaps in an attempt to screw up your courage, which has, at long last, begun to fail you. And then you step forward. You slide between the wrought iron gates, as stealthy and as secretive as a thief, and cross the path which leads up to the tall, imposing structure. The dome doorway which leads to the castle itself, hewn from stone, is close, but as a push of your palm, it swings inward. The door creaks alarmingly as it opens, the sound loud enough to slit the silence like a thunderclap. You inhale at this and glance around, your eyes darting hither and thither. If there are any guard posted about the castle ground, they should all have been alerted by that sound. Will they come for you at long last? What will happen should they catch you? Will they throw you in a dungeon? That does not sound like a pleasant way to spend the night. At least you would have a roof over your head, though, and you would not have to keep walking. Your feet really do ache. You stand there for an indeterminable amount of time, your heart pounding a panic irregular rhythm in the base of your throat. But no matter how much time elapses, no guard come. You are thankful for your good luck, though it does make you wonder, where's everybody? Why, it is almost as if all the people in the world have disappeared. Could you be the very last human left alive? You frown and press your palm back against the door. You push less cautiously this time, heedless of the loud sound which split the silence. There's no point in worrying about the guards, not when they might very well be non-existent. Your entry to the castle is secure. You then take a step forward. The door swings shut behind you, and the resultant slam made you jump. You did not expect it. Your heart knocks against your ribs, and with wild eyes you glance about. You are standing in a vast entrance hall made of stone, which splits off into any number of passages. At the very end of the hall, meanwhile, there is a large, elaborate staircase, one which seems to extend to the heavens themselves. It is dark inside the hall, but there are numerous torches set in scones in the stone walls, which are aflame. They offer some relief from the shadow. You can hear the faint sound of the wind outdoor as it moans against the castle impervious wall, but you cannot hear any footstep. You cannot hear any voices. You cannot, more importantly, hear any people. Maybe the castle is empty. If that is the case, though, then who lit these torches? It is a curious conundrum. You muster up what remains of your courage, then cry out, addressing the empty hall in timorous voice which failed to properly fill up the space. "Hello," you say, your eyes wide. "Is anybody there?" Your voice echoes through the vast empty hall, but it is met yet again with silence. You cannot say you are too surprised, but it is somewhat disappointing. Not one to be deterred, you try again and again, your voice growing louder with each subsequent attempt. No matter how loud your voice, however, it fails to reach any ears. If anybody is here, they do not seem to be particularly sociable. That, or perhaps they simply cannot hear you. Could they be in another room? Yes, that must be it. You will never find that pretty fairy tale princess of your imagination you stand idle, you know. It is time to get to work. Put those legs of yours to good use.
With that, however, we're gonna pause here for the night. I'm feeling the sleepy dust in my eyes. Today, we did do quite a fair bit of chores, and I suppose drinking OJ was kind of a bad idea because the acid was kind of getting to me. But thank you all for, although the stream is a little bit on the shorter side, thank you all for coming. And we'll watch next we'll return with part 3. And we'll see what we'll find this castle. Well, at least, you know, MC was I guess we're skipping on the drowning this time. Or we already went through the drowning. But yeah. For now. Otsu, everyone. And oyasumi. Have a good night, and I hope you'll have fun. Elena. Let me change that. Alright. Nighty night all.